Alright, MrSotko here, and welcome back to another Company Heroes 2 replay cast. And today it is a 1 vs 1 on Einhoven country. We're meeting our players. We have the blue Russian player Spartak and the red Wehrmacht player, I'm just going to say Focus because I have no idea how to read Russian. And we'll check out the map. Our victory points straight across the map, as you can see. And our fuel points slightly diagonal, as well as our munitions points slightly diagonal from the center victory point. So very easy to capture the fuel and the munitions for their respective sides.
It's done.
A little bit harder to get them if you're the opponent. Now engineers are moving out here, taking this territory point. And first and foremost for the Russian player, bringing out a sniper, which is, I always think, is a very good idea for Russians because the Russian snipers are just so good. MG42 moving out for the Wehrmacht player and a second MG42 on the way. And this is a very quick game, as you will probably already noticed.
We have it.
But I rather like a quick game once in a while because I do cast a couple long games, sometimes every day. And then so I just like to whip out a short game because I think the short games are undercasted and everybody just assumes that maybe they're a bad game just because it's a short game. But I sort of like Spartak's playstyle. I've casted a couple of his other games, and he always manages to make people quit the game as he defeats them in some way. Throughout the mid-game, he typically defeats them and just whips out a couple armor that his opponent just isn't ready for, which is a pretty good strategy for anybody that's looking for some quick armor strategy.
You need something built?
And when they see this armor, they just instantly leave. I think the last game, as soon as he brought out an SU-76, his opponent knew it was over because he lost his Ostwind and all that stuff. So, pretty fun games. Pretty short games are pretty good games. You'd be surprised.
Yes.
Now some Pinot battalions coming out for the Russian player as well, and I very much enjoy Pinot battalions. I love throwing satchel charges inside of a house when there's an MG or something in there, and it will level the whole house in one throw. So just remember that, anybody that doesn't use Pinot battalions that much, or maybe thinks that they're bad,
What do you need?
they're very good and very fun. Like if you throw a satchel charge in this, sometimes these houses, some of the bigger structures, they don't get destroyed in one blow. But typically they do, typically most structures do just collapse instantly, and it's very fun to watch. It's very satisfying. Now the Russian player, now moving out to the left side here, just sort of spanning out, taking the whole left side here, and taking the victory point right off the bat. And this is something you don't actually see too much on this map, is people take this left side victory point. I have seen games go on for 10-15 minutes before anybody even bothers to take that left side. So I always like to see that being taken. Now taking the munitions point for these Pinot battalions. And the Wehrmacht player has tons of MGs out. He's actually putting an MG up on this ramp here, which is kind of odd, but it actually has a very good arc of fire as it covers this whole area. However, troops can get around here once they figure out this arc of it, and they can get around here and deal with it that way, but still pretty hard to do. Pinot battalions in very good cover here against these Pioneer squads. The thing you got to know about Pinot battalions is that they have automatic rifles as compared to the conscripts bolt action rifles, so they fire much faster than conscripts. They put out a lot more damage, and I think they can take about the same amount of damage. They're very good against grenadiers, Wehrmacht grenadiers, as the Wehrmacht only have 4 grenadiers and the Pinot battalions have 6, so they have the same health, so they have more health and can take more damage because there is 6 of them. Engineers now getting pinned in this open road here, so they're in open cover there, negative cover, so not a very good spot for these engineers. Gonna get pinned very soon. They're gonna fire back, maybe try and get a couple hits in, but I don't think that's gonna last too long. Now a second Pinot battalion out for the Russian player, one of them with a flamethrower, and I have seen many players just sort of mass up Pinot battalions and just put flamethrowers on them, and somehow these engineers didn't actually have to leave. Oh, it was this sniper here. Sniper got a couple of the kills off from this MG42, and he actually didn't retreat, he just picked it up and started walking away with it. So 2 kills on that sniper there. Now a clown car moving across the map here, and we'll see what he does with this. I'd like to see him put these Pinot battalions inside that, as they're very good inside of a clown car, and they can just drive by and throw flame all over the place. And the difference between putting engineers in a scout car with flamethrowers, as you would think they were the same thing, as the Pinot battalions level up, they level up better and they scale better than engineers, as engineers typically scale and they repair faster and their survivability increases, so it's really not that great. But whereas Pinot battalions, as you level them up, their attack increases, their defense increases, and damage and things like that, so they get much better and scale much better than the engineers. So when you put Pinot battalions in a scout car, it's much more effective, and plus there's 6 of them, so why not? And they are better with their rifles, because engineers aren't good with rifles. Everybody knows that.
Comrade?
Now, this sniper moving way too far back. I'd like to see that be moving up closer. Now, this MG in trouble here. Burning up and have to run all the way back to base. I would have liked to see him park the scout car right here, and that would have made it so those MG42 could not get around, or it would actually, if they could get around, it would have slowed them down dramatically, and he could actually got more kills. If he just pulled up right there. But hindsight is 2020. Pioneers in the center now, taking this neutral victory point. However, not going to make much of a difference, as Spartak has 2 of the victory points as compared to the Wehrmacht's 1.
You need something built?
Engineers now trying to take this munitions point from the Germans. So he's actually taking the German victory point and the German fuel point. So he's definitely starving out this German while giving himself a ton of resources. Now a scout car chasing out this light scout car here. And this scout car will definitely beat this light scout car. He's going to have to get out of there. But if he loses that, it's not too big of a deal, as they're not that expensive. Now the main gun on that is destroyed. So he's going to bring it all the way back to his base. Be able to save that, and he may make it. I'm not sure. Actually, this is kind of a close call. No, he got caught up on this tree right there. That was his demise. This tree right here. Screw that tree. And Pioneers, or Peanut Battalions rather, have taken that field point. So now many resources for the Russian player. As you can see, 58 and 36 compared to the Wehrmacht's 26 and 16. So getting beat pretty bad in terms of the resource count. And he brought his scout car into the enemy base here, and it is a two-star scout car, so not too bad. However, not going to last too long inside this base. He's going to have to leave eventually, and it's going to get covered by those 2 bunkers. So he's going to take some big damage soon. MG42 and Panzer Grenadiers now chasing after these Peanut Battalions, and those Peanut Battalions are screwed. And he's going to throw a satchel charge inside this building. Oh, my favorite part. Love those satchel charges. There we go. Oh, and he gets out just in time. Lucky. But he destroys that building, so the Wehrmacht player can no longer use that building against him, at the very least. And a panned engineer squad doesn't look like he's really bothered with that. Conscript's moving out, trying to take care of the scout car, but just not going to get it. And the scout car almost gets destroyed by those bunkers there. Now running away with his Peanut Battalions, as he was pinned, and he has these Panzer Grenadiers on him too. So a good idea to get those out of there, as he's going to lose those out pretty quickly here. And now running right past the scout car, incidentally running past that scout car, losing an additional troop. We have a MG42 facing this way, sort of out in the open. He's going to set that up somewhere a little bit better. He's going to set up his MG42 in the center.
You have a use for this.
A pretty good arc of fire, but we'll see how that works in the end. Can bring his sniper up and start sniping away at these MG42s. However, the danger of this scout car, as soon as he reveals himself, the scout car can just immediately rush at those snipers
I am needed.
and take them out. So we're going to see if he does just that, because it looks like he is bringing these up to shoot at these MG42 squad here. Takes one of them out, so now only one remaining. However, he's close. He's a little too close inside of that MG's firing range. So just need to back up just a little bit. And here comes the Peanut Battalion in the conscript. And the conscript's getting suppressed. So is the Peanut Battalion. However, the Peanut Battalion is getting closer and closer. Could throw a satchel charge on that MG42, but I'm not sure if it's worth throwing a satchel charge. The sniper is hiding, trying to stay in here, not firing. So he doesn't give himself away. As soon as he fires, he will lose that camouflage, and that scout car will see that, and that 2 centimeter will wreck that sniper in a very quick. Actually, he fired at that scout car. Not very good. You can put those on hold fire, so that they don't actually fire, and you can sit them in the weeds, or in any cover rather, and they will camouflage automatically, no matter what cover they are in, even if they're just standing on the side of the building. Peanut Battalion is moving forward, and this scout car has become a pretty big nuisance of this game, as it just simply can't kill the scout car. And it's taking out plenty of troops. Actually has 0 kills, which I'm very surprised about. I'm not really even sure about that, how it doesn't have any kills. However, it's still being a nuisance. And I thought he killed a Peanut Battalion earlier, as those Peanut Battalions were retreating, but maybe it was just the MG42 that got the kill. Not really sure. Actually very surprised about that. No, it looks like he has a second scout car here. My bad. Oh, jeez. I'm such a knucklehead today. Look, we have a second scout car here. This was the one that was out first, has 5 kills. That makes more sense. MG42 now sitting over here, just going to be standing around, doesn't even bother to set up, just going to take that territory point. Was going to take this territory point, however, these Peanut Battalions were rushing this MG42, so these Panzer Grenadiers are going to come to the rescue. Now T-70 out on the field. And these Panzer Grenadiers don't have any Panzer Shreks, so this T-70 fears nothing right now. And the scout car is firing at the T-70, and the scout car can beat that T-70, so you gotta watch out. Because the T-70 is so lightly armored that he can lose to that scout car. As you can see, he's just about to half health. Each of them are getting very jacked up here. However, that scout car is a 3-star, so that's why he was doing so good against that T-70. Traditionally, a 1-star or 0-star, no veterancy scout car wouldn't do so good. Wouldn't have taken it down that much. So now the Germans in a little bit of trouble here. Lost all of his scout cars, and actually GG's out. So this was the quick game, and just goes to show that Spartak always seems to make somebody GG right off the bat, as he brings out his first armor and he destroys the remaining armor of his opponent and makes this player quit. And I don't really agree with anybody quitting the game this early, so I'm not really condoning that. But it's pretty funny. I like to cast a little short game. It just, you know, it's short, doesn't hurt my voice too much, and then that means I can just cast even more games. So I hope you guys enjoyed this replay, and I'll see you guys next time.